Taliban gunmen steal tons of Australian food sent to the poorest Afghanistan families.
Here's a summary of the article.
Taliban militants pulled guns on United Nations aid workers and took off with 3.7 tons of Australian flour meant to be delivered to some of Afghanistan's poorest families as the war-torn country faces a catastrophic famine. The Australian government donated the vital baking staple through the World Food Programme as part of a $100 million handout, which also includes other UN agencies. Millions of dollars in donations will be needed over the winter to avert a worst-case scenario, the WFP said, but cash is being withheld by governments that are fearful donations will be plundered by the Taliban. The value of its currency plunged as food prices soared, many workers are going unpaid, vital businesses shut down, and families were even forced to sell their own children to as slaves to stay alive. An Afghan father last month sold his 9-year-old daughter to a 55-year-old man as a child bride so he could buy food. Similar scenes have played out in much of the country under the brutal rule of the Taliban. Many Taliban leaders who must be contacted for permission to supply aid have sanctions against them for terrorism and other crimes against humanity.
This post received a score of 5,400, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Who would have thought it?
Can't talk RN. Doing warlord shit.
Just like Bill Clinton warned us at that McDonald's.
Hopefully it's all Vegemite, that'll teach em.
He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich.
There are no glowing women. Plenty of plundering men though.
Yeah, no, I always thought as was that the women roar and the men thunder.
See, I always heard chunder. Never could figure out why that would be the lyric.
Could just as easily be. I've definitely seen a few Aussies chunder.
I read the article that the Daily Mail article sources because I know most won't bother. The TLDR is that the food was eventually returned.
Thanks for allowing me not to send traffic to the Daily Mail website.
Well, that was expected and pretty much the way all incompetent authoritarian rulers handle mismanagement. Steal from your subjects.
They can't hear you over the munching of the stolen food.
And their starving opponents. They get to blame the West for the famine while starving their enemies. It's a win for the Taliban.
Taliban. I don't know why we can't solve these basic humanitarian issues. We tried shooting poverty, suicide bombing hunger, and even beheading healthcare, but no good came of it. We're all out of ideas.
Why didn't you just try praying to Allah?
They tried stoning Allah but just kept hitting air instead.
This is why billionaires can't just feed the hungry, because this happens all the time.
This is typically how famines occur.
Stop helping them.
I am shocked and surprised. Gunmen taking things at gunpoint. Where is the world coming to?
This is why you don't give aid to nations run by terrorists. The aid never gets to the people who need it.
The food did get to the people according to the article and its sources. It is more a question of whether we want to watch people starving to death to prove a point or not. Looking at history, starving populations don't generally unseat the dictator as long as the military is fed.
Still worth sending aid, but Afghanistan can't complain when they're holding the people bringing them food at gunpoint.
Sent 20 years of aid and guns only to watch it get undone in a year. As an American, I'm say not a problem anymore, and no, you won't ever get that money unlocked.
Send radioactive food get intercepted by Taliban? Profit.
The hunger problem is not a lack of food, the problem is politics.
I'm starting to not like these Taliban fellows. No matter what flattering things Trump had to say about them.
Still believe donations to war-torn countries will reach the oppressed.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.